Hello there, everyone. Yes, I am still alive, and really sorry for not giving you any sort of news for a long time. Uh, if you watched my previous videos about what was going on in my life, you probably got the impression, which was the correct impression, that things were not going really well, and things have not really improved since then. This last year has been really rough, and the last 6 months especially so. So today I'm gonna try and explain, well, to summarize roughly what happened and how it's going to affect the future of this channel. So I'm going to tackle that right away. Um, I really don't see myself making any more Blood Bowl videos in the near future, maybe even in the far future. I don't think so. I tried Blood Bowl 2, and frankly, I don't give a damn about that game. Uh, I think it's worse than the chaos version of the previous Blood Bowl incarnation. So yeah, they managed to make the AI even worse. So, but that's not the only reason why I'm not really inclined towards doing Blood Bowl videos. Um, you see, one of my problems is cyber addiction. At least that's how I imagine it's called in English. Basically, I spend pretty much my whole day in front of the computer, whether it's playing games, watching videos, uh, watching anime, movies, listening to music, whatever you can do in front of a computer. So yeah, that's not healthy, and I'm seeing a professional about this right now. So obviously, my goal is to severely diminish the time I spend in front of the computer, and I know that's not going to be easy. And of course, when I finally reach that goal, I won't want to spend the little time I spend in front of a screen playing Blood Bowl. Seriously. Yeah, that would be the last thing on my mind. So yeah, sorry about that. So I know a few, I know it's only a few of you, but a few of you have stuck around since a long time, maybe even since the beginning. I don't know. All I know is that the channel doesn't have that many subscribers, so it's hard to say how many are actually checking from time to time whether or not something new is coming up. So yeah, we can't forget about that. So what does that mean for the channel? Well, after the holidays, I'm planning on going back to one of the few things that I can do, and that's writing. Um, it's one of the few activities I can still do and that I enjoy. I have a couple of projects that I started a long time ago. Well, yeah. There's one book that I started. Well, we're talking about novels here. So yeah, there's a novel I started writing mm, roughly 16 years ago. 15, well, yeah, 15 or 16 years ago. And at that time, I wrote without stopping for like a good year. And back then, I basically wrote the first draft for the first book, and then rewrote the first half of that draft, as well as starting another project and writing a few chapters of a different project, as well as a couple of chapters for book 2 of the first project. And then I moved, and things were not going well in my new environment. It were really not conducive to writing, so I abandoned that for a long time. Eventually, though, I started dabbling into writing once more, and slowly but surely started working once more on my project, to a point where roughly 3 years ago, I had finished rewriting the first book and started the second rewrite, and it was roughly midway through it, and things were really going well. And I wrote a few more chapters for the second book, and as for the other project, I was roughly 2/3 into the first draft of the first book, and I really, really enjoyed that second project. It excited me. Then, at that time, my father died, and I won't get into details here, but kind of killed all my motivation to write. And I haven't touched my project since then. So after more than 3 years, I'm finally planning on getting back into this. So for the future of this channel, I will likely make videos about my projects. Maybe some stuff that is outside of that as well, maybe games or movies. We'll see. But I don't want to say, well, I'm going to have a very clear schedule. Nah, I don't want to put myself into a box and then say, well, sorry, I couldn't respect that schedule. And I want to do things at my own rhythm and see how it goes. So, now that that's been taken care of, let's get back to all that crap that happened lately. So yeah, I've been living with a couple of roommates for roughly 4 years now, and at the beginning we were supposed to be 3 specific people. One of them changed his mind at the last second, and we had to try and find someone else to replace him. That replacement didn't work out. We had plenty of problems with him. He was the type of guy who would start drinking, and then when he was drinking, he was kind of disconnected from the rest of the world, and he would do stuff like cleaning his collection of bottles at 3 in the morning. You know, you would hear like clang, 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 clang at 3 a.m. Not really the type of thing that someone who's using his head would do. So eventually, I had some financial problems with him, since he didn't warn me in advance that he didn't have the money. So I pressured him, and he did get me the money, and me and my roommate, we told him that something like that could not happen again. And the next day, which was, funnily enough, Super Bowl night, I went to watch Super Bowl with my friends at a local bar, and when we came back, his room was empty. He had run away, and not respecting the contract he had signed, that he had to warn us 1 month in advance. So I could have taken him to small claims court, but I was so tired with this shit that I said, yeah, let him go, let him go. So at that time, the person who was supposed to come live with us at the beginning decided to live with us. And yes, I'm using the air quotes here, because they're definitely deserved. What he really meant was, I'm going to use the room as a locker. So there were tons of boxes there, and the guy didn't move in for like 6, 7, 8 months. I don't even remember. It was a really long time. And all that time, I was wondering, what the hell is he going to do? I was expecting him to move in, but instead, it was a locker. Eventually, he moved in, and of course, because he was using the room as a locker, it was full of stuff. So he didn't have any space to do anything. And at that point, he started to kind of spread out. Like in the living room, we had a table technically so that we could eat there, and he basically kidnapped it, and it became his workstation. When he asked me about it, at first I thought he wanted to use it when he needed to use his computer, but no, he wanted to use it 24/7. So I should have told him at that time, nah, no. It's everyone's space. You can use it when you work, but yeah, don't leave your stuff there. But I didn't do it, and things only got worse from there. As for the other roommate, didn't really have any trouble with him most of the time. He was really, really, really antisocial, which most of the time was not an issue since, well, he paid his part of the rent, so it was fine. But when we did have to deal with him, when we had an issue that would concern the three of us, he was unpleasant at best, and at times he was downright aggressive. And one day, for something totally stupid, like he was doing his he was washing his clothes in the living room, and I had heard the washer beep, so I just, it beeped like 5 or 10 minutes before, so I just knocked on his door and say, your clothes are clean now. And I guess he had a bad week. He started this snapping at me. It's like, what the hell is good? I just told him his clothes were ready. I didn't tell him, hey, go get your fucking clothes. No, it was just regular conversation. And things really spiraled out of control, and at one point he tried to intimidate me. So at that time I said, okay, fuck that shit, that guy is gone. That guy is fucking gone. The guy was a shrimp, so I was not intimidated by him. However, the three of us have mental issues. I won't go into details in this video, but it's not easy when you have everyone who has issues. And he had demonstrated that he had an aggressive streak, and he had just tried to intimidate me. So, in everyday life, not really an issue. But at that point, you wonder what that person might do when you're sleeping. So that was an immense source of anxiety, stress, whatever. And it lasted for a while until he left in on the 1st of July this year. At that point, my financial situation was getting worse and worse, and wasn't getting any help from the other roommate, who was a fucking leech, who is still a fucking leech. So I was trying to rent the other room. So at that point, the third roommate was using the small room, because we have two big rooms and one small room. The small room is cheaper, obviously. So of course, yeah, the guy with the locker room decided to take the big room that my other roommate was leaving, since he would have more space. And I had to rent the smaller room. However, try to imagine that. Okay, you advertise a room, and people come to visit it. You warn your roommate that people are going to visit on that day at that time. And then you realize that 15 minutes before the people who are visiting are coming, he's still sleeping in his fucking room, and it smells like fucking shit, you know. If you've lived with guys and it's closed off room, it smells like musk. It's not fun. So I would have to, basically kick his ass and, oh, come on, man, people are coming. And people would come into the room and see stacks of boxes everywhere, right up to the fucking ceiling. And our ceiling is really, really high. It's like 9 or 10 feet. And obviously, a normal person, a person who sees that, goes, okay, I'm gonna go somewhere else. No one wants to live with a hoarder, which is logical. So I had a lot of trouble renting that room. Couldn't find anyone during July, and well, actually, for most of July. And towards the end of July, someone called, decided to visit on the same day, and came with one of her friends, and decided to take the room. But we had some problems with her at the beginning, since she needed a bed. Of course, I offered a room, nothing in it, because we were looking for a roommate, not, we were not renting a fully, oh, my brain is not working, but yeah, we didn't rent the room with furniture. It was for the person to bring their own bed, etc., etc. However, since I was kind of desperate to rent the freaking room, I needed the money. I went and tried to find a bed for her, which I did. Sadly, they could only deliver the day after she moved in, since she moved in exactly during like a 4-day weekend. So everything was closed. It was a fucking nightmare. Anyway, so she comes in, she pays her part of the rent. All right, things are slowing down for a couple of days. Because 2 or 3 days later, and as I was trying to rent the room, in the ad it was mentioned very clearly, looking for someone responsible, respectful, and you know who doesn't make a lot of noise. Because respect go away is shown in the various ways, and one of them is not waking your roommates up during the night and stuff like that. So 2 or 3 days after she moved in, she announces that she's pregnant. Oh, joy! She had just told me that she wanted to stay for the whole year. I'm a guy. Oh, I'm going to show you. Just look at those hideous bags under my eyes. They're the results of over 30 years of insomnia. I have a lot of trouble sleeping, and I have very little energy to begin with. So the very idea of having to live with a newborn, I would have died. Within a couple of weeks, I would have been at the psychiatric emergency room. I would have been done. So yeah, that was a problem. Finally, we agreed that she could stay until January the 1st, so which is coming in a week. So that meant that I would have to find someone else to take her room in the meantime. Now, in the meantime, the problems with my other roommate had been growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. After living like 2.5 years with him, my patience was gone, just gone. It was a type of guy who would decide to make himself a meal at 1 in the morning. Would decide to wash, let's say, one of his bags in the bathtub and leave it there overnight so no one could use the frickin' bathtub. That type of thing. The guy who doesn't think about others at all. I mean, at all. Everything was about him. It was all about him. He would never think about how his actions would affect others. That's a bit... that was a bit of a problem. So, anyway, a bit earlier this year, as let's see, it was the beginning of October. Yeah, at the beginning of October, I told him, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to raise the price of the rooms because I just can't make ends meet." So he decided to go back to the small room in January, so that his rent would stay relatively the same. Fine with me. So then I have to rent out the big room. Okay. But even though he was in a bigger room, there were still boxes up to the fucking ceiling everywhere. And through all the people who had come to visit the apartment and who had seen the room, I knew what to expect. So I knew it would be practically impossible to rent the fucking room as long as the room looked like a fucking locker. A filthy locker. Not to mention the piles of clothing right in the middle of the room, that type of stuff. So I told them, okay, you have 1 month, so until October 31st, to clean up the room, make those boxes disappear. Get rid of stuff, man. Get rid of stuff. I had been bugging him for 2 years and a half to get rid of some of his stuff. I mean, he had like, he's the type of person who has like four bottles of cleaner, you know, so something to clean the ceramic, you know. He had like everything in 3, 4, 5 5 items. So I mean, it was easy for him to cut in the amount of stuff that he had, but he could not. He was a hoarder. He is a hoarder. So I gave him a month, and with a few days left to the month, I came and checked with him, said, don't worry, I have rented a car so that I can move stuff away, blah, 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 blah. So the end of the month comes, I checked his room, it was like $1 gone. $1 gone. The room was impossible to rent at that point. So I had to threaten him. I had to tell him, okay, you have 7 days. If by the 7th day the room is not presentable, you're out. I'm throwing you on the street. That's it. Fini. Bonsoir. It's over. Bonsoir is like good night. And by the 5th day, it was still not done. So I had to go through a third party, which I knew that he actually respected because he doesn't respect me. And I had to put it on paper and say, okay, if that's not done by tomorrow, you're out. And he finally did it. Later on, I discovered that he really had not gotten rid of any boxes. They were all in his, what's the term? Where you keep your clothes. Yeah, my brain is not really working that well right now. Forgetting most of my English. So yeah, so I come into his room and say, oh, my God, it's clear of boxes. That's awesome. And then my eyes drifted towards the walls. I'm sure you can imagine why I'm sighing. Yeah, there was mold on the walls. So of course, I had to call the owner. They came and they opened the wall to see if, you know, the mold was in the walls, but no, it was just on the surface. The reason why the mold was there is that there were so many fucking boxes in the room that the air would not circulate right. So that fucker was directly responsible for a problem. And once more, there were lots of problems that he was responsible for. But of course, you would try to explain that to him, and he would go like, what? Nah, he doesn't understand anything except his needs. So yeah, that's kind of made things impossible for me since I could not advertise a room that had mold in it. Thankfully, that problem was solved really quickly because that was a big problem. But it's not over. It's not fucking over. At the beginning of September, I had been having some skin problems. And I thought they were due to stress because I've had like eczema in the past because of stress. And those were stressful times, so figured that's the same problem. But I saw my doctor at that time, and he said, those look like bed bugs to me, bed bug bites to me. Oh fuck no! So cleaned my whole room, checked every square inch of the bed, I tried to clean everything up. No signs. Okay, that's not a problem. Good, good. That would have been too much. But, but, uh, mid-November, the mold problem had just been solved. As I was just doing my bed so that I could do, well, wash it. Bed bugs. Fuck me. Bed bugs. Of course, call the owner, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Exterminators came. They came on November 23rd. And for the next 2 weeks, I had like an allergic reaction to the product that he used, and I was itchy as fuck for two whole weeks. It was maddening. I couldn't sleep anymore. Even with medication that helps me sleep, it was impossible to sleep. The only thing that was real in my life was itchiness. That fucking itch that would not stop. Thankfully, that went down quite a bit, and sadly, I found more bed bugs. When was it? Like, we're the 21st right now, so probably around the 14th. No, a little bit before that. So I called the exterminators again so that they would come back and do a second treatment. And they're coming tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. So, crossing my fingers, I'm hoping that at least this treatment will be the last. But yeah, when just before the exterminators came, an inspector from the city came because I called him, and we inspected the bed together, and the bed that had been white when I checked it in September was suddenly black from, excrements. The problem, which was not obvious to me in September, was totally out of control when they came 2 months later. So yeah, and of course after that, there's always a part of your brain that's not working totally right, because you start itching all over, and you expect to find something, but there's nothing. It's psychosomatic, because you know that you have bed bugs, so you feel like they're always there. They're not always there. It's really at night that they come out. So yeah. So instead of spending the holidays with my godson's family, as I usually do, I will be staying at home, getting really, really itchy, and hoping that the problem will be solved by, let's see, towards the end of January. However, financially, I am in total and utter shitville. Doubly so because I can't rent that room. We have a bedbug problem. So in good conscience, I simply cannot advertise a room where there are bedbugs. Fuck that. I'm responsible. So that means like $400 less that I get every month. and I don't have any money. I don't have that money. So, man, this the things keep piling up and up and more every time a problem is solved. Another bigger one shows up. So I'm I'm about to lose my mind. Uh, I'm trying to hang in there. Very difficult. Uh, I do have professional help. However, the holidays are a tough period because everyone's on vacation. And normally I spend that time with my family, which helps, balance things out a little bit. But once again, since I'm a responsible adult, I cannot visit them just because there's a small chance that I could contaminate their house. I don't want to do that to anyone. It wouldn't be right. So yeah, that's one problem. And remember that fucker I told you about earlier? During that time, we had been a band from a non-profit organization that we both frequent, um, because there was a risk of contamination. And while I was dealing with the problem, that asshole was going behind my back trying to convince the powers that be that problem was solved. So yeah, I had to deal with one irresponsible motherfucker while dealing with the other problems as well. So yeah, uh, the guy is older than I am, but he acts like a teenager. You know, when you're in that part of your life where you know everything, fuck authority, fuck everyone else, me, 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 me. Who cares about consequences? Me, 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 me. He's like that. So it's like living with a child or a teenager who doesn't listen to you, who does everything in his power to just shave 10 years off your life. And he's always saying, I have rights! But whenever I need him to do something for the good of everyone, like, fuck that. So he wants rights, but he doesn't want responsibilities. I'm sure you've met people like that. So yeah, so as it stands now, I'm basically broke. I don't know when I'll be able to rent that room because I have to wait until the bedbugs problem is solved. And on top of that, I have, my own physical and mental problems to deal with. Man, it's a total shit show. Total shit show. As far as my other problems are concerned, mental side of things, I will probably cover that in a different video at some point. Give more information about me without doxing myself. But yeah, not in this one. As you can see, I've been rambling for a while anyway. So yeah, don't expect many videos from me in the near future. If I make another video within the next couple of months, it'll probably be one to talk about myself in general, about my life and how I got here, I'm trying to, in which direction I'm trying to go, that type of stuff. and then probably focus on my writing projects. So we'll see. We'll see. So no gaming videos for a while, probably forever. No, not necessarily forever, but for a while. And I'm really sorry about this, people, but I have to do what's right for me. And if I forced myself to make videos about Blood Bowl, for example, my heart would not be in it, and it would show. It would definitely show. So anyway, despite all of that, I hope you will have pleasant holidays and have a great year, a great 2018 year. As for me, it can hardly be worse. I suppose it can be worse because I could become homeless. I mean, that would be worse. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, it's not like it's impossible for me to get financial help. I know at least one family member has offered their help. It's pretty difficult for me to accept, though. It's part of my upbringing. You know, really, really prideful, stupid stuff. I love giving, but it's very difficult to receive. And because of what has happened in my life, I don't really want to feel indebted to other people. Leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. And no, I don't mean I have to do sexual favors for money. But yeah, I prefer to, you know, try to stay as independent as possible, even though, you know, realistically that's not entirely possible. But, you know, one thing at a time. So yeah, I hope that on your side things are going much better than what's going on for me. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Let's try to finish this video on the positive note. In the next few days, I will probably use Skype or some other program to stay in touch with my Godsons family, so that even though I can't visit them, at least I can stay in touch and try to keep my sanity throughout the holidays. The holidays are always a difficult period when you're alone, and especially this year because of all the crap going around. So yeah, enjoy yourselves. Once again, happy holidays, and I'll try to give you some news soon, sooner than later. I know that my last video was like in August, something like that. So yeah, you'll get some news within a couple of months tops. Bye bye.